I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello. Welcome to Black to News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about how Turning Point finally decided to talk about Candace Owens, and they invited her to actually join a live stream where they go piece by piece to break down her allegations. I don't know if that's a great idea or not, but they did issue that. So we're going to go ahead and I guess watch their video and share our thoughts on it. There's also other things going on with the Somali fraud that's been going on in Minnesota, and Trump is trying to send federal agents for crackdown for like immigration and investigation into them defrauding out millions. Actually, I think it got maybe to $1 billion, but just taxpayer dollars into a bunch of fraud that apparently Tim Walz was covering up. We'll see. There's allegations he got thrown under the bus. We talked about that the other day. And it's so crazy to me because they wanted to get away with it and try to get away with it and covering it up by like saying, if you come after us, it's racism. And the people are still just like perpetrating that. And Trump said some words. They weren't great words. They weren't the best words. I know he says he has the best words. They weren't the best words. So when I heard the words, I just kind of started screaming like, "Oh my gosh!" Like no. But you know, I'm not one to be a Trump apologist. So I'm not crazy about the words. We can talk about the words. Like it's cringe to even kind of think about and playing the video, but we'll get to that. We're going to talk about the Charlie Kirk Turning Point stuff first. Before we jump into everything, by the way, I heard that there's a Samaritan's Purse airplane. I just saw it that had been hijacked. Samaritan's Purse is a Christian organization that that does charity around the world, but apparently it was hijacked. Samaritan's Purse said one of its planes was hijacked while it was en route to deliver medicines in South Sudan. The group confirmed to WCNC Charlotte in South Carolina that the plane had a pilot and a staff member on board during the incident on December 2nd, 2025. The Caravan aircraft was set to deliver the medicine used by the group's mobile medical unit in Mawat, South Sudan. The pilot was able to land in Wau, about 400 miles southwest. Samaritan's Purse said the hijacker was taken into custody by the country's National Security Service after the plane landed. We praise God that no one was seriously injured and that we are grateful to the security forces for their support and swift action on the ground to resolve the situation to bring safe outcome, the nonprofit said in a statement. Samaritan's Purse is a Christian nonprofit based in Boone, North Carolina, and it was founded by renowned evangelist Franklin Graham and provides aid across the globe to people in need. Isn't that crazy? That's pretty scary. It's pretty scary. So I wonder what all went on with that. But I saw someone, I was on Facebook and there was a Daily Wire article and someone was like, how come no one is talking about the hijacking? I'm like, hijacking? So I guess at least no one was hurt. That's crazy. That's crazy. Just, isn't it crazy to hijack a plane that's sending medicine for people in need? We live in a sick, sad world. Anyway, before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go blackteens.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost a stream. From my side, all the good stuff you guys can support. I very much do appreciate you guys. You guys can also check out different merch. Like this is one of my favorite t-shirts. I'm not the victim you're looking for. I actually made that after like Gina Carano's situation when they tried to like cancel her and stuff. So I made that, and people seem to like it. And it got other stuff as well. So go ahead and check that stuff out. Also have, of course, the books you guys can check out. I have all kinds of different genres. I'm like in a writing groove. And hold on, I got to get rid of this New York Post article thing that's up because it's like slowing down my computer. Um, so one of my books you guys can get, of course, is bigger. It's a picture book. This is my hardcover copy. You guys can go to in paperback as well. Paperback is cheaper, but if you got really little ones, I would recommend getting the hardcover one. Most people do want the hardcover one. I was surprised when people didn't want the paperback, but I got either option. You guys can, there's a link in the description on Facebook or YouTube if you want to click on that and go to my book website and learn more. But I'm in a writing groove right now as far as like my books. I'm like, like, oh, I'm excited to write this scene and that scene and that scene. And it's really nice because I had, talked to you guys some time ago that there was like a part, like I guess earlier in the year, where it was just a funk and it was just kind of hard. And I just didn't have a lot of passion about like different projects and things. And I was still pushing through and trying to get them done. But, since my mom died, it was just a little tough. So I was just, trying to soldier on. I'm like, just, you got to keep hustling, Kristen, you got to keep hustling. And, but even I love to write, and I've always loved to write, and things have always come pretty well. And I'm working on the third installment in the my historical fiction series, and it was just, that's like my favorite one that I've written, book and stuff and series. And there were some like complex things I had to really research and stuff, so that kind of like held up different time writing it. But it was just hard to, and like action sequences and thinking about the different action sequences in like 1864. It's a bit difficult. And you know it was just like hard to just even have a little bit on the page. So I'm very, very grateful right now that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to have some time tonight to write. And so it's just nice. But I'm continuing to write, and if you guys are interested in any of my other series, you guys can check them out. I have books not just for kids but for older readers and stuff as well. Something that is totally unrelated to politics, but you guys know I like to talk pop culture sometimes. This isn't gonna be a segment or anything. I just want to mention it. But Ready or Not is gonna have a sequel, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. If you have not seen that movie, it's about a girl who marries into this family, and there's like, they're like, I don't know, made a pact with the devil and stuff. So they play hide and seek, and you got to kill it. They all have to play a game, and if the game is hide and seek, you have to hunt down the person and kill them. And so this girl, is the new bride, and so she's hiding from her in-laws, and it's such a good film. I just really like it. So I just found out today that my sister had posted the trailer in the group chat that there's a sequel, and I started watching the trailer, and then I saw that Buffy is in it, Sarah Michelle Gellar. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many people in this movie. I'm so excited. So I don't know when it's coming out. It just says coming soon. And I'll be there in the theater. I will be there in the theater, maybe for $5 Tuesday, perhaps even earlier. Depends how excited I am and how much I don't want TikTok to spoil certain things. Sometimes I want TikTok to spoil it, but I'm excited. I'm jazzed about it. I wanted to share. Okay, so let's talk about something that is all the buzz right now. Of course, Candace Owens has been saying some really crazy things since Charlie Kirk has died, and has, pushed a lot of allegations. And so I have been looking at Turning Point a bit sideways myself, wondering why they have not come out and said some things and addressed something. Now, of course, some of the things are so crazy. Some of the reasons that they give to why they haven't said anything, I can understand. Like some of the crazy things that Candace says, it's unbelievable that anyone would believe them, and that that you'd have to address them at all. I try to be, I don't know, understanding to a lot of people who are still like Team Candace and who listen to her stuff. And I've been trying to sound the alarm for a while prior to Charlie dying. I'm sorry, being murdered. I was listing off different conspiracies that she believed, even beyond, uh, you know, the Israel stuff. And, there was, I guess, a lot of most things was connecting back to the Jews and stuff. And there was like a long list. And I've been trying to warn people for a while, and doing different deep dives and segments and stuff. Now, I've seen other people recently do really good deep dives, like What Do You Meme did a wonderful video on Candace and some of her allegations, and the dangers of conspiracy theories and falling into that always asking questions crowd. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend it, because I don't want to be one of those people who watch 40 Candace Owens episodes to do a segment on her. I don't want to be one of those people. I appreciate him putting out that stuff. She's getting enough clicks and money from certain people. So if I see stuff, a lot of them is like snippets or whatever, people talking about stuff. I sometimes, if I have to go and get more information, maybe I'll go into the episode, but I would just rather not. I'm really kind of tired. Like, I I am really baffled. I am tired because there are so many crazy things to debunk, and there's no accountability when things are addressed. There's just always a new conspiracy. So I understand what she's doing. And I understand a lot of people are watching her stuff from around the world, who want her crazy conspiracies to kind of break apart the United States of America. I get that. And people who want her crazy stuff to destroy the right. What I don't understand is so many people on the right who still have this attachment. And I'm trying to be sympathetic. And I think I have been sympathetic to people who have listened to her for a very long time, followed her when she's Red Pill Black, followed her when she was on Prager. You followed her, of course, when she was, going around doing stuff with Charlie and Turning Point, and when she joined the Daily Wire, that people were still, very attached and loved some stuff that she said. I get it. I get it. Um, but you should follow the person as, like, with their values, and see if they're changing, and see if they're truthful and continue to be honest and fair-minded, and there were some things apart from like her Israel content that I didn't like, that if I was a Daily Wire, I would have been embarrassed to have on my platform. And there was different beefs that she had. So I wouldn't care for everything that she did. She would still like post things that of course most people agree with. Like, it's easy when you're on the right to say that men can't get pregnant. Like, that should be an easy thing to say and confess, and you know, different stuff like that. But you know, there are lots of warning signs. I've written about the warning signs. I've done videos talking about the warning signs, and if people don't want to see them, they want to see them. But I've seen now a lot more videos on her. I saw a video this morning, actually, of a man who said he used to watch her stuff all the time, and now she's like changed. He's like, so what happened? What happened? And so I left a comment that said, could it be that she was just kind of never I said she's playing a role for a new group of people, just like she played a role for you guys. And before she was Red Pill Black, she was a left-wing person. And so, there's a lot of people who can say things that tickle our itching ears. And then we are like, oh, okay, that's they're my people. Just like the left can fall victim to, like Jesse Smollett, for example. His story always sounded crazy to me. And if you believed it, I'm like, bro, what's wrong with you? But when you are already of the mindset that this is Trump's America, and he's a racist, and he hates gay people, and so many Americans, they know this about him, yet they voted him in. This is just how terrible America is. So they have this skewed perception of reality. Because I talked the other day how people like to filter their world through Donald Trump, like he's a prism, you know. Um, if that's what you think, and you hear this crazy story, and Jesse Smollett says, I was attacked by MAGA people while getting a Subway sandwich, there's a lot of people who jumped on, and it was like, oh my gosh, it's terrible, and I condemn this, and because they wanted to condemn MAGA, they wanted to paint, to point at Trump, and they wanted to be sympathetic to the Black gay man. It just really was, I think, that simple. And a lot of people were embarrassed for virtue signaling. There are people on the right who like bought in that story. Again, I never thought it made any sense. I'm like, MAGA hats in Chicago. That's crazy. That's crazy. It was how cold? Subway sandwich? Like, none of this story's making sense. If you've seen the film Am I Racist, there's a hilarious part with Matt Walsh talking about that story. If you haven't seen it, I was dying when I saw it in the theater. But there's people on the right, if they hear something, they can be gullible too. Like, there was a Black woman, who claimed that her parents kicked her out because she decided she was going to vote for Trump, and people readily like gave money to her. Was that story true? No. But she knew she could be that Black face that a lot of white Republicans are eager to hear from. If we're just going to be frank. If we could just be frank with each other, and that whole, they have empathy, right? And they're like, well, we're going to protect this person, etc. And it was like quick reaction without any kind of research to see what this girl's history was and if they were being taken advantage of. It's not a terrible thing, but I'm just saying people know how to pull at your heartstrings and to manipulate one another. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of a lot of people. They're very good at manipulation. So I hate to accuse people of being like insincere, because and grifting, because I don't appreciate people throwing those accusations around. They get thrown around all the time, and I've been accused of that. I mean, you can easily look at my history and be like, oh, this girl's been a conservative forever. Yes, I have a long time. So long time, and as long as I've been interested in politics. I think I guess I haven't changed a lot on there's different opinions that I've changed on, but I don't know, I feel like I think I've always had pretty much a nuanced sort of take on things. So I don't know. I've been pretty consistent. So I think there's a chance that we've always kind of been bamboozled. But even if that's not the case, and she had a sincere conversion, she's sincerely converting away, and a lot of her rhetoric has caused a lot of madness. So anyway, I'm glad Turning Point said something, because I was looking at them sideways. I know she was Charlie's friend, and Charlie always, his pastor was like, he didn't really want to say, I mean, he knows that there's people who are talking crazy stuff about Israel and all kinds of stuff, and he would address them as like having brain rot, but he didn't like go out there and condemn Candace Owens, because he considered them to be friends, and they were trying to respect that too, and trying to respect certain things that Charlie would do. But I think that they've handled this wrong for a while. I think they've waited too long. I'm glad that they are addressing it now. I don't know about their plan going forward. We can talk that out, but here we go.
We wanted to use this segment at the top of this hour to say something important, something very important. For the past 2.5 months, there is a topic that has flooded our Freedom inbox. It has been nonstop on social media, but which we have almost totally avoided on this show. You probably already know what I'm talking about, which shows just how ubiquitous it has been. Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for this show. She has made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees. She has suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. She has suggested Michael is not his real name. It is. I have seen his birth certificate myself. She has called it suspicious that Mikey's wife, who works at Turning Point, helped plan the campus tour event where Charlie was murdered, which she didn't, by the way. She doesn't work on campus events. Candace has suggested the Utah Valley University event was unusual and its details suggested a, quote, inside job. She has claimed that foreign aircraft have followed Erica Kirk around the country and that Turning Point has lied about this happening. She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died. She has suggested Charlie's security team intentionally denied him first aid after the shooting to...
I meant to just kind of let this play out. But I'm glad they mentioned the portion about how she was trying to shed doubt on the fact that Charlie wanted Erica to take over, especially because you know, and she has said other things that obviously implicate Erica, and a lot of her fans in the comments believe that she's talking about Erica and that she's in on it and stuff. Ben Shapiro mentioned that Candace Owens was insinuating or said that these people had took part in this conspiracy, and then Megyn Kelly was like, what, she said that? And then she ended up addressing it, and she's like, Ben Shapiro lied. And it's like, okay, why didn't you just gonna say he lied, and you're not going to talk about the things that she said that are giving all these people these impressions? Which I've seen a lot of good compilation video, guys. You're doing great work. But what's the goal of, hey, Erica saying there's all these journals that are stating how Charlie would like things to go, and her being named the head, and then saying things like that Charlie was like a Truman Show person, and his whole life was really like a lie, and he wouldn't be on the anti-Israel train anymore. I mean, the pro-Israel train anymore. And so they had to replace him. Well, who did they replace him with? They replaced him with Erica. So what are you insinuating then? She's willing to play ball, and apparently everyone else is willing to cover it up. And she's just willing to sit there and be that new pawn. And she knows that everything was covered up if she wasn't like a part of it herself. And these journals that state like what he wants and the intentions of having Erica be the head, like all that is just fake. All that's fake. He's a boy genius. Well, wouldn't he have a will? He has these journals. Well, maybe he has a will that was private and discussed among his family and not for your ears, but one way or another doesn't mean the journals aren't legitimate. And I'm sure people in his company and in close circle and his wife would have some kind of idea about if something happened to him, who would take over. And even people talking about like Charlie having some kind of, if something happened to me, kind of discussions like, oh, that's evidence that Israel was out to get him. People have those discussions all the time. Like, even before I started like doing politics stuff and just writing, I'm like, gosh, I have all these books and all these ideas. I'm like, what would happen like to all these stories? And I like one day like told my sister Tina, I'm like, I would want you to finish my books. And it was, I don't know why it was so emotional. I'm just and she cried a little bit. I cried a little bit, but and this was like years ago. And now like after Charlie died, a lot of people are like, our lives are really on the line. Someone doxed me the other day, by the way. They didn't like what I said. They doxed me and challenged Muslims to come and get me. That's what they did. So there's a bunch of crazy stuff going on nowadays, and you know, I'm gonna go forth and believe in the Lord and believe no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And if my time comes, I guess my time comes, but I believe there's more work to do. And yeah, Carly said, what? Yeah, I was yeah, That was Sunday, I think it was. Yeah. Um yeah, I was thank you, Kit Kat, saying she's praying for me. Yeah, I was someone one of my sisters was like, who's also on the page. I'm the one who like posts most stuff and answer stuff. It's mostly just me running the page. So if someone leaves in a message or I don't get back to your comment, I'm like running the page. There's a lot of stuff that comes in. I can't answer everything, just FYI. But I do have like other people who like if I'm can't get in for some reason, like, hey, can you do this or whatever. So my sister is like, hey, this is in one of your videos. So Carly said, adding you to my prayer list. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. And then someone called them out and they're like, oh, I wasn't threatening her. I'm like, why would you post my information and tell Muslims to have at it? Okay. So yeah, it's crazy. Like even beyond politics, it's insane to me the sort of anger that people can have online, like even just watching people debate comic books or how heated people will get over anime is insane. People threatening to hurt each other, rape people's wives, just crazy stuff that people will say online over stuff that doesn't even mean anything. Like politics, I understand there's like some real stakes to it. But really disgusting, and obviously there's no place for people doing that kind of stuff. So anyway, Charlie putting it out there sometimes or having conversations with people that he's concerned for his safety. Yeah, I can believe that he would do that without there being some kind of grander conspiracy. And he's probably was also aware of different conspiracies that might have actually been against him, because I'm sure he got legitimate death threats from people that they could track and stuff. And after he died was killed, Seth Dillon, there was someone who gave like a credible threat to him and some other folks, and they were saying some crazy stuff that Candace was saying, and people believe that Seth and other people were threatening Charlie Kirk and were a part of the conspiracies, different things that she was pushing. So there's a real heinous mindset to all this stuff. Tim Pool was talking about it the other day, and he said he's talking about how she gets a lot of views as opposed to other people getting a lot of views right now. And he's like, it's not the main election season, it's after like the election that had just happened or whatever. We're in our like December time, and a lot of views are just down across the board. And he's like, some people have said things like, I wish I was as evil as Candace Owens, because you can't, if you deliver something straight like Marjorie Taylor Greene resigns, everybody's talking about that. How is your thing, the way you deliver the news, going to be what catches people's eyes, especially new people, I guess? And if you like are doing really inflammatory clickbait titles or whatever, then people are going to tune in. If you're Candace Owens and you have this huge conspiracy, yeah, people are going to tune in. I don't know what kind of people are tuning in. I just could not be one. Like, props to people like What Do You Mean, who like watched everything and did pretty in-depth videos. I just I have too much life. I don't have a team. I got like a dozen other things I have to that are like hats I gotta wear. I just I can't, and I can't do it. Anyway, let's keep watching this.
Ensure that he died. She has raised suspicions about the head of our technical team because he took an SD card out of a camera. She has spread absurd claims that Tyler Boyer, who we just had on the show, sexually abuses male interns. She has suggested that TPUSA faith-affiliated pastors, like theologian Frank Turek, who we'll have on in a moment, and Pastor Rob McCoy, are part of a military, quote, infiltration of Turning Point, either because they are veterans or because they have family members who are.
I'm sorry. I don't want to keep like stopping, but I just want to point that out. That it seems like there is like an anti-military thing going on with her conspiracies and stuff too, because like he said, if you were in the military or you know someone in the military, she tries to tie you into her conspiracy. Like Lila Rose, sweet Lila Rose got tied into criticism with Candace and stuff. And then Candace was like, oh, it didn't make sense why she was attacking me. And then I realized her husband's in the military. It's like, so you just hate veterans now? That like everyone in the military is automatically like suspicious to you? And that's where you're just gonna let it hang in the air, like, oh, her husband's in the military, so just anyone associated to the military is just sus. It's just sus. So Frank Turek, I've been following Frank Turek for a while. He's a Christian apologist, and you know he's been going on college campuses and doing lectures, and he does formal debates. Been writing books. One, I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. I don't have the physical copy. I listened to that on Audible, and that was a really good book. I probably need to get a physical one and actually just read through it again and take some notes and stuff. But that was a really good book. He's in. I didn't know that he was so close to Charlie, and I just found out a ton of things about Charlie after he died. I'm like, man, this kid, he actually really loved the Lord. Some people talk about the Lord, but do they love him? Do they know him? And it seemed like he did. And it's just terrible what happened to him, and terrible that all these people who are close to him have to go through this.
Even if not everyone has been named specifically, though, Candace has effectively tarred everyone here with complicity in Charlie's death by repeatedly saying he was, quote, betrayed by, quote, everyone. She has said Charlie's murder, quote, had to be approved by Charlie's friends, and then suggested those friends might have her murdered too for, quote, knowing the truth. She has made claims of financial impropriety and fraud at Turning Point, adding up into the millions of dollars, which, again, is not true. Charlie made sure the organization was audited by a third party every year. He personally reviewed and he signed off on every expense report, and literally every single bill paid by the organization down to a single United States dollar.
I can believe that Charlie Kirk did that. There was a question about, I think the book that I mentioned was God. I don't have enough faith. I'm sorry. Yeah, that I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. That's the name of Frank Turek's book. He didn't write it alone. He co-wrote it. I can't think of the co-author, but if you Google it, it should be an easy find. But it's a good book. Very good book.
We have never missed a 990 deadline. Candace has made other stranger allegations involving French paratroopers in maroon shirts, Egyptian Air Force planes flying out of Provo, Utah, and potential underground assassins traveling through unseen tunnels. At one point in early November, she started wildly throwing suspicion on members of Utah Valley's soccer team for wearing hoodies. I could go on. There is always something new coming up, and none of it ever pans out because from the start, there has been nothing there. The attacks and allegations from Candace are either lies or they are innuendos thrown around with a total reckless disregard for the truth so that Candace can manipulate and string along an audience of people who don't realize they are being played. Instead of being able to grieve properly after one of the most heinous murders in American history, a murder many of us had to witness, my friends have had to endure harassment from people who have gotten whipped up by what Candace is saying. In fact, I would say we have suffered more harassment from these people than we have from Antifa supporters who overtly celebrate Charlie's murder. And just like a lot of those Antifa members, many of these people take this delight in how gross and unpleasant they can be. What our friends have had to endure is not funny, and it's not insignificant. It is evil. I have seen it. For months, we have received hundreds, thousands, I suspect, emails and calls asking us to respond. People have wanted us to invite Candace on the show, but for a long time, our approach was to say nothing. We did that for several reasons. First, we thought that her prevarications were so absurd that nobody would believe them. We shouldn't have to answer questions about secret tunnels or Egyptian Air Force planes. That sort of thing is just, it's beneath contempt to respond to. The second reason we've said so little, though, is because there's a good rule of thumb, which Charlie followed. Do not feed the trolls. Focus on the mission, reviving America, uplifting young people, making heaven crowded. Don't give air to people who want to tear you down and sow discord. Lastly, we didn't respond because Charlie always viewed Candace as a friend, and we were holding out hope that she would return that friendship and stop what she was doing. But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people. She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country. And far too often, we here have heard from ordinary people, people who loved Charlie and who Charlie loved so much in return. These people have expressed the worry that we are staying silent out of cowardice or as some sort of tacit admission that some of the attacks are true. Neither is the case. Our silence has never been, and it will never be, equal to complacency or approval. Still, we decided Charlie would not allow this to go on. Charlie was not a coward. Charlie was a fighter. Charlie would not allow someone to spread lies about the people closest to him with impunity. And he would feel ashamed if other people were stepping up to defend his friends while he never did so himself. Candace has mentioned several times that the ball is in our court. So here's what is going to happen. In the near future, there will be a live stream here in Phoenix where we address in a clear and comprehensive way the claims and accusations, the false accusations that have been made against Charlie's family, friends, and the people here at Turning Point. We plan to walk through everything carefully and thoroughly. If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix. At this point, we believe the ball is back in her court. Our motivation for doing this is not out of any obligation to Candace. It is about honoring Charlie. We feel a deep responsibility to protect his legacy, his work, and the truth. I feel that. I owe Charlie everything in my life. I feel it immensely. And that is why we feel compelled to speak clearly and openly now. We'll have more on this in the near future.
So that was the video that they had at the top of the hour of the broadcast. Now that I know Frank Turk was on there, I gotta go watch the whole thing. But yeah, so that's making the rounds. How do I feel about them having Candace on? I mean, I wonder, there's clicks, there's views, there's money that she's obviously getting. As a narcissist, they like attention. Is it good to have her on? Some people in the comments of this video are like, she'll never come on. She'll never do it. Oh, she'll never do it. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. I'm not going to predict that, that she's not going to come on. She might love it. I don't know. If she does come on, they have to have everything thoroughly ready to go, because Candace goes on different shows and she'll debate, and sometimes she goes on there and people do make her look stupid, but she still shows up anyway. But I don't know, there are people she could have gone on and talked to who different places where she obviously could have been dismantled, And maybe some interviews or whatever that she had, that she got embarrassed and didn't know that she'd maybe be embarrassed. Like when she had Ami Kozak on, who's a comedian, a Jewish comedian. He they had a conversation, just a normal conversation, but throughout that conversation, it wasn't like a debate or whatever, really. She was made to look stupid several times. That's like when the Muslim Quarter thing. But part of her looking stupid was just her. Wasn't Ami trying to really embarrass her or anything like that. As a matter of fact, when I went to Israel and we were in the Jewish Quarter, man, our tour guide brought up Candace and we all started laughing and making jokes. If you go to Israel, it's just absurd, some of the things that people say, but some of the things that she tried to push and believe. But all when she's gone on Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan has pushed back on her at times and made her she's gotten caught in bad positions where to me she looked dumb. I don't think everyone perceived it the same way. Like when they got into a conversation about genocide, which Piers has been very critical of Israel and quick to, like, there's a report that comes like, oh my gosh, I gotta condemn them then. It's like, well, you could wait for a little bit more information, but he's very quick. And he's one of those people like, oh, so terrible, so terrible. And it's like, okay, what do you suggest as opposed to what they're doing militarily? But so he's not a Israel like simp or something, you know. So he had her on and was talking about genocide and some of her things that she said. And by the way, I have this in I think the video where it's like how Candace Owens deceives her audience. So if you want to go back through my YouTube history and some of the stuff I have about Candace or whatever, I talk about this segment on there and have the clips. And so he's like, well, you use the term genocide, and then she tried to explain like, well, the genocide was about this individual and something that he said, which wasn't, I don't believe is true. And she's always said it out of context and slandered Brian Mast. But it'll take too long to explain. And then she's like, it's funny when people mention, he's like, well, do you think Israel's committing a genocide? And she said, well, it's funny people mention genocide and it seems like nobody knows what that is. And then Piers gives her the definition, and she's like, no, it has to be about a number, Piers. It has to be about a number. He's like, it's not. It's about an intention. That's what it means. And then when he kept pressing her, she's like, well, I don't even know why we're hung up on this word. It's like, because it's a word that you used, you know, and that you're like, we know that you're like accusing Israel of doing it. So now, you know, she's like, this has been a while since that happened, and she's very, you know, Netanyahu was demonic and Jews have always killed Christians and blame Muslims. Those are things that she's actually said. So now she's like, you know, very vocal and open about those sort of things that she says. But other things that happened in that interview with Pierce, she was able to slide because he wasn't prepared. And I'm like, I know she's lying about that. I know she's lying about that. I know she's lying about that. And Pierce just couldn't get her to the degree that someone should have been able to do it. So if you're going to interview Candace, you've just got to be prepared. So as long as they have all their receipts and they want to hold her feet to the fire, I guess it'll go great for them. And she'll, you know, look crazy like she did in that CNN interview. Is it her best bet to just, I guess, not go and claim that, you know, oh, my life is in danger, why would I show up? Kind of like the things that she said about why she wasn't going to go to Charlie Kirk's memorial service. That would probably be best for her if she just, you know, didn't go on the live stream when they break all this stuff down, so she has to face all of her crazy tweets and whatnot. But I don't know for sure if that's what she'll do. But you got to be ready to like really prosecute the case against Candace Owens. And again, there have been people who've been able to do that. By the way, I mentioned What Do You Meme a couple times. He's done a couple videos on Candace. He talked about like how she covered Andrew Tate and his cases, and even like how she did some of her movie on BLM and like her segment about George Floyd and stuff. Like there's ways that she's been really dishonest with her content for a long while. So I'm glad more people are waking up. I'm glad more people are seeing it. I think it's unfortunate that this is happening, that this has happened, any of it. But there are people like trying to get refunds from like money they gave to Turning Point USA and merchandise that they bought, and that's been going on for a minute. It's sad that they're saying that they've gotten more attacks from people who are supposed to be like pro Charlie Kirk and stuff, and you know, or you would think from the right, who are like buying into these allegations and whatnot, than Antifa, than crazy leftists. And it's not, and I can believe that. I mean, somewhat, man, I got some nasty comments from people on the right this past week because I did a video about Charlie Kirk and just showing that he didn't call Cenk Uygur, you know, a racial slur, and the title was like the captions that are on the video ask the question, did Charlie Kirk use a racial slur? And a lot of people didn't see the captions, like at the top, the words about it. Like when I posted the video, they didn't apparently watch the video, or at least watch past the point of the video with him talking to Cenk, where I actually start to talk and explain how Charlie Kirk didn't say a racial slur. Like my whole goal was to exonerate him of this really stupid lie that people were pushing, and people didn't understand that that's what I was doing. And there were like people, you go click on their profile, Charlie Kirk is on the backdrop, and they're saying terrible things, attacking my appearance, calling me, using explicit language, and even using like threatening language as well. And people are saying all kinds of crazy stuff. And I reply to some people, I'm just like, dude, you didn't watch the video. Like, how could you just not watch the video? Like, this is remarkable. My sister's like, oh, you replying to everyone? I'm like, I can't reply to everyone. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like totally surprised, but it is disappointing, guys. I know you guys didn't do that, but other folks, writing crazy stuff. So I just said, stupidity is a bipartisan issue. It's not just one side on the left are crazy people who are really, hair trigger. I'm not gonna watch things in context and comment or whatever. People on the right do it. So I think it's very important that when we watch stuff, consume stuff, whether it's people on our side or people on the other side, that we try to be fair when we are attacking their argument, that we can still man it, that we are representing them fairly, and talking it out. And I was talking to somebody today, and you're trying to say that Charlie Kirk said the black pilot thing, and that's their proof that they're racist. And so I sent them a video that was fantastic about that particular subject, and explaining that if you if you have a quota all of a sudden, like if I forget what the number is of white male pilots, but it's really high. I don't know, let's just say it's 80-90%. Let's say it's like 90%, and all of a sudden you want to have like 50% be like women and black people, black men. That's a huge jump that you want to make suddenly. So if right now it's merit is what gets us mostly these white pilots, for various reasons, not just because white people are just more conditioned to do that, but maybe there's just different avenues that just lead to that conclusion, them getting this, studying for it and getting hired or whatever. But if all of a sudden you are like, I want X amount of black people, X amount of white people, white women, or just women in general, to shrink the percentage of white men, people might start questioning, like, okay, how are you going to meet those standards, and if merit just automatically gets us this number of what it is, are you going to kind of lower the standard? So it just kind of begs those questions. And I'm like, Charlie's conclusion was reasonable. You cannot agree with it. It's a reasonable conclusion. It's an understandable concern. And I told them, I said, I haven't always agreed with what Charlie Kirk said, because you're like, well, saying what he said about the black pilots to his millions of followers, do you think that that's responsible? And I'm like, I don't think it was responsible for the airlines to put it out there that they're so focused on race and so focused on gender. I don't think that was responsible. Have I always liked all the things that Charlie Kirk said? No. Have I always liked the way that he said all the things that he said? No. I could post an article right now of time me criticizing not just Charlie Kirk, but people on the right on a subject. You know, the Black National Anthem, for example, Lift Every Voice. I didn't like the aggression that was coming from the right. I'm like, this is a hymn that a lot of people should have that sort of attitude that is displayed in the hymn. And I talked about a little bit of the history of it. And I said, just FYI, people, I grew up calling it the Black National Anthem, not because I'm like Wakanda forever or anything like that. It's just an affectionate nickname. I'm an American through and through. If the Wakanda people tried to come, I thought Black Panther was kind of stupid. You know, I enjoyed the movie, don't get me wrong, but there were things I'm like, this is stupid. This is Michael B. Jordan's plan to just get a bunch of weapons and going around to black people in the countries and be like, we're here to liberate you. I'm like, I'm an American, bruh. I'm siding with the rednecks. I don't know you. I'm an American. So to me, the plot of the movie wasn't like great, but like it was contrived to get to have certain things happen to me. So I thought it was crazy that he even agreed to fight him, knowing the history. I thought it was crazy that people let him, because it was even after the thing. I'm like, did he even prove like that? Did you do a blood test or something to see if he's really the son? You know, and then everybody just betrayed his buddy betrayed him. I'm like, this man's dad like helped to kill your dad, and now he brings the body of this one guy and he's like, oh well, he got justice. Like, bro, he was working with him 10 seconds ago. I'm sorry, I think enough time has passed. We can talk about Black Panther not being a perfect movie, but so anyway, there are people who, you know, they didn't think that they liked my take about the Black National Anthem, quote unquote. But then I'm like, okay, read my article. How I broke this down. And they're like, okay, well, I agree with you. After they read me how I broke it down. So I didn't like the aggression. I thought it caused unnecessary problems for the right. And there are better ways that they probably could have stopped it being sung at the Super Bowl. If Donald Trump was like, it's amazing that we're all praising God and singing this beautiful hymn. I don't know if they'd want to do it anymore. Donald Trump is like, we're all worshiping God together, singing Lift Every Voice. This is what Black America should be. You know, if he did that, maybe they wouldn't even want to do it anymore. So I didn't like the aggression from people like Charlie and other people. I can think of their faces, but their names escape me. But you guys can check out that article. So I would have liked to have more nuanced conversations still on the right, but again, with more nuance with Charlie and other folks about different issues and so on. So I didn't always agree with what he said, but I don't appreciate people mischaracterizing his positions on this stuff and then being like, he's a racist. I'm like, what was his intention on what he said? Did he believe that Black people were less than? No, that's why he didn't like DEI, because he believed that Black people are capable and don't need these sorts of things. And when you do have these sorts of things, it breeds actually more racism into the world. So I've made a lot of Charlie Kirk content since he's passed away. And because I just really don't like the lies that are told about him. And some of the videos that have been made have been addressing Candace Owens. Most of them are dumb things that people said about things that he said, and me debunking those things. And I'm at the point where I have to make repeat videos of some things that I've done. I might have to do another one on the black pilot thing. I have to go back and look at the last one I made and see if I want to do another one entirely. But it's tiring. It's tiring. When they're talking about how, Charlie Kirk, he was like, don't feed the trolls. And I thought to myself, I'm like, would he even want me to keep like making all these videos again and again and again? Would he want me to? And then he said the thing about like Charlie Kirk wouldn't stand by while people he cared about were attacked. Now I didn't have a close connection. I've never met Charlie. I've never been in a Turning Point event. I went to go hang out at a hotel like outside of the Turning Point event, but I didn't pay that ticket. I just kind of hung out with some folks. I know a lot of people who've known him, but I know that what happened to him was bigger than him. Right? He was killed for having beliefs that I have. And then he was smeared by many people, including mainstream media, because they want to justify what happened to him. People will say like, oh, well, violence is never acceptable. But by the way, did you know he's a white supremacist? They're trying to make it seem like, it's not like we're for what happened, but it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, And if they feel that way about him and they paint that picture about him, they'll paint it about you. They'll certainly paint it about me. He's not the first person that has died that people said terrible things about, but he was assassinated. He was assassinated. And the public discourse surrounding his death was so discouraging, alarming to see so many people celebrate it. And then even when people celebrated and got fired and stuff, to see like mainstream articles like this person got fired for saying this stuff about Charlie Kirk, and then they misrepresent what the person said that got them fired as if it wasn't, omitting things that were really bad to make it seem like we're all overreacting. So I think it's important to still correct the record about a lot of this stuff. And some people are like, he's dead, get over it, move on. Well, until they kill somebody else. and then it's like, if you stand up for Charlie, they'll say that you're racist because they believe he's a racist. And I've been called terrible things, and it's not new. I'm not saying all this for sympathy, and I appreciate people who give it, in the comments and send messages or whatever. I appreciate it. I'm not saying it for sympathy. It's just a fact, that people send racist comments and pictures of raccoons and call me Uncle Tom, and which is dumb. Uncle Tom's a great book that did a lot of good for Black people, but Auntie Ruckus and things like that, but I got a message the other day. They said that there's people who close to them who think that they're terrible for siding with a racist and stuff. So they just appreciated that I was still making content about this, regardless of what people were saying and continuing to lie about. I guess it's really sick to me that so many people are pushing lies that I'm like, okay, surely this has been addressed enough times. Surely people shouldn't still be believing this stuff. Like, people still pushing that he called Shank a Chinese racial slur. It was dumb when I first heard it. How do you guys not know it's a lie? How are people still saying that he said that, Black people are better off in slavery? You can just go back to that video, the source, watch it back like 2 minutes earlier and know that that's not what he said. I think the Black pilots thing requires a lot of context, because in the original video, it's like there's discussions that he had afterwards, or even like tweets that he had afterwards, that explain his thought process in more detail. So I can understand that needing to be a conversation. That's probably the most complicated thing that I've heard that Charlie Kirk said. And that requires a conversation. I'm willing to have it. But a lot of this other stuff is garbage, obviously. And you know who I've not seen debunk this stuff? Candace Owens. I have not seen Candace Owens go through a lot of these allegations about Charlie and just debunk a bunch of stuff. You know, I've seen her lie about other people like Josh Hammer and Seth Dillon and Bill Ackman and other people. But I didn't see her debunk all this other kind of stuff. There's plenty of people who are doing it, but she does have a huge platform. And a lot of left-wing people watch her now. So I wonder what that's about. Wouldn't you want to defend your friend's honor? Anyway, I'm glad that Turning Point said something. I wish them well. They shouldn't have to do this. There's certain things that they can't obviously talk about because a lot of them are witnesses. There's an active investigation in case it's going on, which Candace Owens was like annoyed that Tyler Robinson's lawyer hasn't reached out to her, which I'm not surprised because she was mad that Derek Chauvin wouldn't do an interview with her for her movie on the Daily Wire. So I'm not surprised about that. I did not mean to talk about this for a full hour. I did not mean to talk about this for a full hour. And yet I have. So I wanted to talk about the Somali stuff and some stuff that Trump said and that the mayor said and all kinds of different things, but the time has gotten away from us, and I got some things I got to do before Bible study, so I cannot do a whole nother half hour of the show. So I'm gonna have to. I do apologize. I'm gonna have to table that until tomorrow. We're gonna have to save the Donald Trump cringe and the Jacob Frey cringe and Minneapolis cringe until tomorrow. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktnews.com. Check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what to do, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost a stream, run my site, all that stuff. You guys can support. I very much do appreciate it and appreciate you guys. You guys can also check out different merch that's available on the website, so you guys can check out that stuff. Get yourself some cool Christmas stuff. Also, check out my book Bigger. You guys can pick that up on ninjadeskpublishing.com. There's a link in the description that'll take you to the website where you guys can pick up a signed copy if you would like a signed copy. If you're in the US, if you're outside the US, I could still get it to you. It's just that the shipping is crazy. So I don't know if you want to do that, but there's a way for you to get a book. So God bless you guys, and I will see you next time.